Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Gary Laubach along with Mike Joseph. We are in the Berger Varsity Football House. This is the actual locker room where the players come in pre-game and pre-practice. And we're here today because it's National Signing Day across the nation for a number of high school football seniors. We also will be looking at our soccer recruits, both men and women, towards the end of the program. Mark Nudelberg will be joining Mike Joseph right after this segment as they will go over the fresh recruits that will be coming to Lafayette for the class of 2022. We do have one sad moment to tell you about. Coach Garrett will not be here today. He had family matters that needed his special attention, so Coach Garrett will not be with us today, but Coach Nudelberg will sit in for him. Mark, of course, was the recruiting coordinator this season as well as the special teams coach. So, Mike, you and I have had a chance to look at the list the last few days. We knew what some of the needs were for Lafayette College football coming in. It looks like those needs have been addressed, not just today, but also in December. Let's talk first of all about the new process where we have actual 2 National Recruiting Day signings. Like it or don't like it?
I like it. I like it from a standpoint of some of the FCS standpoint where you can lock kids up. I think that's a definite plus, and I think you get to accelerate the process a little bit, and you get to lock kids up and have a pretty good feeling going into the holidays, because you always have, as a coach, you have a little bit of a wary feeling of an angst because there's a dead period and you cannot can attach yourself to those recruits that you've been working basically so long for, over a year, some of these kids. So I think it's a definite plus. I love the way it worked out, especially again for the FCS kids. You may have a kid or two that those schools, that trickle-down effect, if they miss out, they may try to grab a kid here or there. But overall, I think it was a fantastic process. Half the class in prior to the holidays, and now the other half today.
And we lost 23 rostered seniors from the program, so they will be gone. So obviously there were a number of needs, and we recruited 24 total to satisfy those needs. We'll start first of all with perhaps the biggest need, and it seems to have been a big need year in, year out, and that's offensive linemen. We went out and we got 6 of them, averaging 6'5", 273 pounds. You and I have looked at some footage, which the viewers at home will get a chance to look at. We've got some athletic, big kids coming in as offensive linemen.
Yeah, you said it right there. Athletic is the #1 thing I've seen. And in the past, we've seen in the Patriot League get a lot of bigger kids, but kids that may not have the foot speed or the athletic ability to maybe, like I always talk about, getting to the second level and getting to a linebacker coming off. The double teams are there, but when you can get to the second level and you can overplay and overcome a defensive lineman, single block them, that is huge. So the athletic ability I've seen in this class may not be the 340, 350-pound kids we've seen, but taking kids that are maybe 270, 275, 280, 290, those type of kids that can move. I mean, you cannot have enough of them, put it that way.
Exactly.
And an offensive line coach, Coach Samus, is going to be overwhelmed, I think, with #1, the amount of kids he has, and then maybe going 2, 3, and maybe even 4 deep and handing out a lot of playbooks. I think it's going to be exceptional for him.
And one of the most important positions anymore on offense is tight end, because you need a good blocker in there. You need somebody who can catch the ball. Tight ends are thrown to, as we saw in the Super Bowl, just very, very important at all times. We lose, of course, Dylan Wadsworth, but we bring 2 big kids in at tight end.
Yeah, I think that's it's a huge plus, because I think the way Coach Garrett runs his offense, he likes to formationally do a lot of different things. I mean, you see 2 tight end sets, you see no tight end sets, you see 3 tight end sets. I mean, these are all possibilities for teams on defense that are playing a little bit more of the 4-2-5, the nickel type defenses. If you can kind of become cyclical and go back and start to run the football effectively and do it from a 2 or 3 tight end standpoint, I think that's what they're looking for. So losing Dylan Wadsworth, obviously huge, a great pass receiver, but getting maybe another kid that's an inline blocker, a guy that can line up and basically be a third tackle and block the end and really what we call seal the edge for you is huge. And I think he's done that with bringing in 2 guys here and maybe a guy moving to that position. So I think they're going to have not only the offensive line, but from a tight end inline blocking standpoint, a big plus.
Nobody more important to the passing game than wide receivers. We lost some good ones. We brought in 2 this time, 2 wide receivers with a lot of speed.
Yeah, the Patriot League is all about, it's become all about playmakers. And if you look at the past season, we saw great playmakers out on the edge, guys that could make plays by separating from a defensive back and make plays going up to get the ball. So the height is there, the length is there, but guys that can separate with speed. And I think this class is going to be an exceptional class to replace guys like Matt Mrazek and some of the other guys leaving. we're going to have to not only have that size, but have that ability to separate. And I think that's huge. So the kids that are coming in, we have one kid coming in that's a flat-out burner. I mean, just can separate, burn, catch the football with his hands. I think it's going to be an exceptional class to add to the kids that we already have here.
Are you surprised at all by the absence of running backs who were recruited? We have 0 at the moment coming in. Is that a sign that they really like the stable of running backs that we have right here on campus already?
Well, you know, when you have so many scholarships to give, you know, you got to go back and look at your board and find out exactly where we can spend one, where maybe we can get a half or a quarter or break something up. But I think obviously it points to the fact that they're very happy with what they have here. And if you look at the end of the season, the way the Leopards ran the ball in the Lehigh game, I mean, that just kind of stands out in my mind as they ran the ball for over 150 yards in the first half. So, and they ran it inside the tackles. So to have guys that can do that, like a C.J. Emil inside and some of the freshmen they had last year, I think they're very happy with what they have. They addressed the offensive line. So if you can have an offensive line that can move people and displace people, a lot of times running backs, not that they're a dime a dozen, but you can find a running back to run behind a good offensive line. And I think we have guys that can do that, especially a guy like Emil that can break away and make big plays and is a home run hitter.
And again, offensive line becomes such a critical aspect
Right.
of the offense. You always take a good quarterback. If you can find a good quarterback, whether you need one or not, you always take a good quarterback. We've got one. I know you're going to talk more specifically about the one.
Yep.
But he was there. He was on the board. Lafayette went out and got him, and it'll be a good get, as Mike and Mark will talk about when we get to the video on the players that are coming in. So 11 offensive players will be coming in, 12 new defensive players will be coming in, and a special teamer. As you look at the defense, obviously you never have enough defensive linemen. We lost a good crop of linebackers, and we certainly lost some very good defensive backs. We have filled those with 4 defensive linemen, averaging 6'2", 243. They'll get bigger, obviously. 2 linebackers and 6 defensive backs. So the need was there. They went out and really fulfilled it with good numbers.
Yeah, I think they did. You're exactly right. I mean, if you look at all levels, you lose a guy like Bo Bosch and Matt Rothrock up front. 2 guys that can rush the passer and stop the run. So up front, I think they went out and found not only defensive linemen that I think are kind of hybrids, can play on their feet and rush the passer. They did it at every different level. At the second level in the linebackers, they're going to bring in a couple guys there as well to replace Brandon Bryant. And again, eventually Michael Root, who's got 1 more year left. And they did it with athletic kids that can run in space. Got to be able to cover in the Patriot League now in space. And you got to be able to blitz and get home. And then in the secondary, losing a guy like Philip Parham, who led the nation in interceptions, you got to find a way to replace him because, again, defensively, as we watch Luke Thompson run his defense, he likes to confuse quarterbacks. He wants to disguise. He wants to move guys around. He wants to run different coverages. And then eventually he wants to bring the pressure. So if you bring the heat, you must get home. You must have guys that can cover back in the secondary. I thought at every different level they've replaced the most important pieces, the Bo Bosches, the Brandon Bryants, and the Philip Parhams. Those kids had to be replaced, and they did it with a lot of freshmen that I think can make an impact coming up this year.
And finally, a key position, obviously, Mike Schiffert's been our long snapper for 4 straight years. Go out and get another long snapper. They did go out and find one. You'll talk about that one when you and Mark sit down and talk about individuals.
Yeah, and it's great to have Mark here today because of special teams. You know, how big were special teams throughout the season. And to have a long snapper that you can just basically forget about and know that the ball is going to get back there, the short snaps are going to be there, the long snaps are going to be there. And we had that comfort zone with Michael Schiffert for 4 years. I mean, he was terrific. He just, you know, every single time in the rain, in the snow, and it was just something you could always depend on. So having that in your back pocket is huge. Bringing in a long snapper to add to the special teams that were exceptional, I thought, this year, and then made a big impact at the end of the year with a kickoff return against Lehigh were huge. So long snappers, cannot have enough of them.
Well, it's time to get to the individuals. I know some of you are at home watching today. We welcome you to the Lafayette family, if indeed you are doing that when you come on campus to play football. Mark Nudelberg, as we mentioned, the recruiting coordinator and the special teams coordinator, will now sit down with Mike, and you'll get a look at the specific players, the 24 of them that will be coming on campus at Lafayette College to play football this fall. They'll be right back.
Joey Chenoweth is going to go all the way. 70 yards. O'Malley to Chenoweth for 70 yards and the touchdown. And the ball off. Sidman, can he get to the outside? He's got the corner, and that's a touchdown.
How am I using my engineering degree from Lafayette? You'd be amazed. As a civilian working for the Navy, I'm using laser technology to revolutionize underwater communication. Track movement of an oil spill below the surface, detect tumors through non-invasive medical procedures. I'm not just an engineer, I'm an explorer, a leader, and a Jedi Knight. I'm Brandon Kokenauer, and this is my job. And I got my start doing research with professors at Lafayette College.
So we're working with brain-computer interfaces, and what we're doing with that is we're combining neuroscience with computer engineering. What we're working on this summer is a wheelchair, and how it works is a user wears a headset, and the headset reads signals. Those signals are sent to a computer where they're processed and returned back to the wheelchair, so the wheelchair will move based on different commands that the user gives. This summer I've been working on making a graphical user interface that prompts each user to perform different commands like opening and closing of the eyes or blinking, so that it can customize the program based on their signals. Something I found really cool and exciting is that I've been able to combine my art interests with my computer engineering interests. So I've created images and been able to use them in a meaningful way that wouldn't have been possible without this research opportunity. This project, if it gets to the point where we have a wheelchair on the market, being able to see that help people would just be incredible.
Going behind the scenes with ESPN's Beth Moans was a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It was really cool to see what it takes to produce a big-time college basketball broadcast. Lafayette connects students with alumni at hundreds of different companies and nonprofits every year. It's a great chance to network. I got a first-hand look at a career and got to see whether it was right for me. At the end of this, I'm one step closer to finding my dream job.
Welcome back to Signing Day Special here on the campus of Lafayette College. We are here to introduce the offensive players, and I'm really proud to be joined here by Mark Nudelberg, the special teams coordinator here at Lafayette, as well as the recruiting coordinator, so a little bit of double duty for you. Welcome to the show. Great to have you here.
Glad to be here again. It's a year ago that we did this, and I'm glad to be back.
Yeah, that's a great thing. Tell me a little bit about it. It's been a year. Did it make a big difference having that full year under your belt? I mean, obviously you came in last year, half a year, you're kind of running around, you get a few kids of your own, you have to inherit a few kids. Tell me a little bit about the difference of having a full year under your belt and getting all those guys kind of pointed in the right direction.
Yeah, I think, we put the class together in 6 weeks last year. So this year, having a full year to go through spring recruiting, to go through the summer and go through the camp process, to identify guys, evaluate guys, kind of find guys as fall continue to move forward, and getting guys onto campus, getting them here for games, and really finding out full profiles about guys so that we were bringing in the right kind of kid.
Right.
You guys talked about it before, us addressing the needs of each position. And what you're really going to find out is that it's not really just about the athletic ability or just about the position. It's also about the kind of kid. I mean, when you look at the guys that we're bringing in, the off-the-field things they do, the way they're involved in their communities, the type of person we're bringing in is the kid that we really want to be a part of the program.
You're looking to bring in, as John always says, a Renaissance man. And I've
exactly
seen a
right.
couple of those type of kids, those Renaissance men. I have kids that play the piano, play 4 different instruments, involved in SAD, involved in so many different things. So again, the well-roundedness of the human being, get him a chance to get on campus, spending 48 hours with them, which is not a big amount of time to have them here, but the contact periods being limited as well. I mean, it is a full-fledged deal. So to have a year under your belt, it can only obviously pay dividends. So let's talk a little bit. We're going to talk about the offense. We're going to talk about the kids you're bringing in. We're going to talk about maybe a little bit of what you were targeting. And Gary and I mentioned it. Was the offensive line a target for you just from a number standpoint, or where did you kind of focus your attention when you were talking about offensive recruits?
Yeah, I think obviously the offensive line, the depth, you can see that. We signed 6, right? So, I mean, obviously the depth of the position was really, really important to us. We lost a few guys injury-wise at the start of camp, and so we thought that we had kind of addressed those needs a little bit in the previous class, and then bing, bang, boom, you get through August, and now you're back in the same boat saying, oh, God, we got to fill these numbers back up. So I thought we did that. Obviously we brought in 6 guys, and if you look at the majority of them, they're multi-sport athletes.
Yes.
They're not just football players, offensive linemen. They're guys who play basketball, who play lacrosse, who throw the shot put. So when you look at those things, that we're filling an athletic need. We're not just going out and getting big guys. Obviously, it's great that we got the size that we got averaging at 6'5", but those guys can move. Yes. They're athletic, and they can do the things that we're going to ask them to do here.
Yeah, I thought that was one of the most important things. When I looked at the overall class and I watched each individual player, and I've looked through Huddle and all their tape, and I've watched their videos I've looked at their Twitters, all that type of stuff that they tweet out. You got to watch that stuff as well. But to see the athletic ability of not only the kids that you would expect it from, the DBs, the wideouts, the running, but to get it from the offensive linemen and the defensive linemen, which is huge. In the Patriot League, always been my opinion, if you can win the battle in the trenches, you can really, really win a lot of football games, and I think that's most important. Well, let's get right into it. Let's talk about Aziz Diamandi. Okay, Aziz, a wide receiver / slot out of Walter Johnson High School in Bethesda, Maryland. We're going to roll tape on him in just a second.
Yep.
What did you like about Aziz? I mean, he is, to me, just crazy, what I call COD, change of direction. Well, look at him right here. What did you like about him?
And as you see him, obviously the first thing is the ability to catch the ball. You see him go up with his hands right there and use his hands to catch the ball. And then right here, bang, sticks his foot in the ground, gets outside, and once he hits the edge, you see he doesn't get caught. And that's important. You want the guy not only to be able to change direction to avoid a tackle, but you also want to see him be able to run away from guys. And as you look through the league, like you said, Mike, you have to be able to throw the ball outside in this league. That's what people do. That's what makes people successful on offense. And we thought that we did that by bringing in our wide receivers in this class, and obviously Aziz being one of those guys.
Yeah, and what I wrote is not – he's strong, too. I mean, the kid's put together really well. I wrote down playmaker. I mean, the kind of kid that you need to find a way to get him touches, right? I mean, it's all about touches.
Yeah, I mean, and you talk about, okay, well, what slot does he fit? Is he a slot receiver? Is he a strictly an inside guy? Or does he have the ability to move outside to Z, to stretch the field and do some things in the post game and those kinds of scenarios? And really, he fits that mold because he's strong enough to run through contact, kind of play off linebackers inside, but he also has the speed outside to stretch the field, to make that safety, open up his hips and run with it, to either open up the stuff underneath or run by him and get the deep ball.
And that's so important, a kid that can do that from the slot or do that from the exterior out by the numbers, that can stretch and blow the top off a defense, opens so many things up. And with your offense, you want to be able to get the tight end the ball. You want to be able to get the ball to the backs out of the backfield. And everything we see, you saw it in the Super Bowl. If you can blow the top off sometimes, you can work underneath. So important. Aziz, again, all-county first team, 1,129 yards rushing, 10 touchdowns in just 8 games. And like you mentioned before, more than just a one-sport athlete, track, runs the 4x100.
Anytime you can get a skilled guy who runs track, you want that. And if he's on the 4x1 team, then that means he's one of the fastest guys at the 4x1, and that's what you want.
Yeah, his mother was a college basketball player. He plans to major in economics. We'll talk about the academic part of it as we go along, but all of these kids, as we're going to see, economics, mechanical engineering, accounting. I mean, these kids obviously have to do it in the classroom, even step on campus.
And then you say, okay, he's a multi-sport athlete. That's great, right? He does all these things. That's great. But he also helps in a special needs class in his school, right? So that's where we talk about Renaissance man, right? Not just great in the classroom, not just great on the field, also great in the community or in your environment, wherever it is that you can help. Whether it be school, out in your community, at home, wherever it is, giving the extra help and doing the things to make you that kind of extraordinary human being.
And that's the exact type of player he is. And I saw the runs a 4.5, the strength in the legs, 400-pound deadlift, 425-pound squat. I mean, these are kids that are going to come in and they can be impactful. And for you, as a special team coach, you got to be salivating saying, okay, there's a kid that can run down as a 3 on me on the kickoff. He can block. He can do the things I need him to do with his hips on punt return.
I see one thing in Aziz. I see a returner.
There you go. There you go.
He's got speed. You know what I mean? Obviously, I would love if he can run down on kickoff and do all those
Sure.
other kind of things, but I know for sure you get the ball in that guy's hands and he can be dynamic. And obviously, you talked about it at the start of the show with the kickoff return against Lehigh, how quickly that can change a game.
Boy. Yeah.
I think we have a chance to really get better at punt return as well with some of the guys we're bringing in and some of the guys who are kind of returning from injury and are going to help our roster this year.
Yeah, just off kilter a little bit here. did you take that return by CJ and take it into your clinics? Because those 2 blocks that happened at the 22 and the 25, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
You know what? Yeah, and you're exactly right. And it's funny because I spoke to the guys the night before in our special teams meeting, and I told them, I said, you guys have done such a good job this year on every return, constantly getting the ball out past the 30, that they had earned the right to score.
Oh, yeah.
I said it would be a shame for you to be as good as you were this year and not score a touchdown and feel that, you know, and sure enough, you know, it was all across the board. You look at all 11 guys, you know, and CJ did a great job of sticking his foot and hitting it. But you look at all 11 guys working their tails off, blocking the way they were supposed to. It was great to see them have that success.
It's a pretty play. One of the plays that stick out for me. Let's move on to our quarterback here now. This kid, and Gary and I do a lot of Pennsylvania football. We hear a lot of good things about mostly the East Coast, the eastern side of Pennsylvania. But Troy Fisher, I mean, he brings everything I think John and everybody's looking for in a quarterback, from a leadership skill standpoint, from winning 2 WPIAL championships out there. He comes from a monster program in Pittsburgh Central Catholic. Let's run some tape here on Troy Fisher, and you can talk about it a little bit. 6'4", 215, Cranberry, again, Pittsburgh Central Catholic.
Yeah, and I think the one thing you're really going to see on his tape is the toughness. You know what I mean? You could talk about a lot of things. You could talk about his arm motion, his ability to step up in the pocket and deliver a ball like that, right? He's got touch, he's got arm strength. All of those things are great. But when it comes to the quarterback position, what's the most important thing? Does he have the leadership qualities to step into that huddle, own all 11 guys, and get them behind him? And I think when you watch him run down the sideline and drop his shoulder into a guy and play with that toughness, obviously we want to see him slide when we get to our level, but there's no doubting the kid's ability to lead and the program that he comes from, obviously being Pittsburgh Central Catholic. You know, I mean, that's, you know, it's unbelievable. You're getting the kids from the right kind of program that have the right kind of makeup that you're hoping can come in and do what they need to do a couple years down the road to lead the program.
4,300 yards in his career, 44 touchdowns in his career, top Pennsylvania quarterbacks. I mentioned 2 WPIAL championships. He's an honor roll student. He's a National Honor Society member, going to major in economics, international affairs. What I wrote down again, great pocket presence. You don't see a lot of quarterbacks nowadays under center.
Look at him right there. Look at him step up, right? Look at him, double-edged pressure, stepped up, and then you see his toughness. Takes 2 hits, boom, scrambles out of the pocket, is able to stick his foot in the ground, get north-south, and carry a guy into the end zone. That's the toughness you want in the leader of your football team.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, look, under center. You don't see a lot of this. You know, I'm not a big spread guy, but to see a quarterback that can actually go under center, read a defense, run the play-action pass from the 2 backs in the backfield, which we showed a little bit more this year, that to me is huge. To be able to do that type of stuff. He, again, brings all the qualities that I think he can extend plays with his legs. He's a 3-star kid. I mean, he is really, is he all of 6'3", 6'4"?
Oh, he is.
Okay, because again, I never met him.
We had him in camp, you know, and that's the one thing that, you know, as you look at the majority of this class, they were at camp. We got to get our hands on them in the summer, got to evaluate them in person, figure out what kind of guy they were, talk to them, spend time with them, you know, figure out who they were, what made them up, and then move on from there in the recruiting process. And when you can do that with the majority of your class, you kind of cut that margin of missing way down. So, you know, we feel really good about him. A food bank volunteer, right? So talk about Renaissance Man. What's he doing in the community? That's another thing that checks a box for us. You know, came to camp, was on campus, wanted to be a part of Lafayette football, and we got him.
He's going to contribute not only on the field but in the community. He's going to be a great kid. And we only took 1 quarterback. So, again, I think you got the right one. Let's move on. Maybe you can help me with Matthew's last name. Matthew Fiume, an offensive lineman out of Ashburn, Virginia. You guys did a nice job down in the Virginia area. So let's run some tape on Matthew here. Broad Run High School. Well coached, big kid, 6'3", 250. What did you like about him and his athletic ability?
Yeah, you see him right here. You see him get down in the stance. You see the ability to bend. You see the ability for him to get low, unlock his hips, and run through a guy right there. Obviously, the nastiness kind of to finish the play and play all the way through the whistle, which we love to see. And again, offensive line was something that we need to address, right? So, you know, that was something that we looked for. You know, he played lacrosse also while he was in high school. So a multi-sport athlete, not somebody who's just in the trenches all the time, right? He's playing another sport. He's got the athleticism to do other things, and that's really attractive to us because we're very multiple in our run game, right? We're going to do a lot of different things. Got to have the ability to pull. Got to have the ability to trap a guy. Got to have the ability to block down, open up and run your hips on zone. So all of those things that we're looking for, he obviously fits that mold. And it was a need position for us this year in the class, and we addressed it.
Yeah, I think you did. And you can see, I mean, the ability for him to get in a stance, number one, as an offensive lineman, good Z in the knee, good bend in the ankle, good bend in the knee. Like you said, be able to open the hips up. I notice he's got great pop at the point of attack. When he makes contact, he gets a little bit of separation there and then obviously uses his hands.
Yeah, and another thing that you look for when you see a guy make contact is you don't want to see him get real head heavy, right? You don't want to see them. That means they can't bring their hips with them and play with their feet underneath them. They have a problem bending, you know? So when you see him be able to get in a stance like that, boom, unlock his hips, he's not head heavy there. He's bringing his feet with him until that guy goes to the ground, and that's what you're looking for.
Yeah, and at the point of attack, I always look for them obviously get their hands inside, and then they make contact, and then the separation right there. It's like the same thing you kind of look for as a defensive lineman. You just want them to a little bit more violently get away from somebody.
Most important part of the game up front.
All-state second team, pair of district championships, 19-5 record, National Honor Society. I wrote his brother played at Washington and Lee, again, a good football team. His father played at Georgia Southern. So we got good pedigree right there with Matthew. And he will major in mechanical engineering. Again, a kid that I think fits the Patriot League mold right there, athletic, going to grow into his body a little bit, and it's got that nastiness that you need up front.
That's exactly right.
Great. Okay. We're going to move on. Another offensive lineman here, a bigger boy, 6'6", 260 pounds, Joe Grundhofer out of Assumption High School. Let's roll some tape on Joe here. Wisconsin Rapids. So you guys went out a little bit. Joe was here early. I saw him on the sideline for a couple games. Very nice get right here, very athletic.
Love Joe. Joe is a big-bodied kid. Obviously, you know, a great frame, has the ability to put on the weight that we're looking for, but has the length and the ability to bend. Three-sport athlete, right? I mean, plays basketball. You know, you get a chance to see him out on the court and see him move around and use his body to displace people. It's really cool. You see the toughness, him finishing a play right there at the end with his hands. Boom, you see him come off, unlock his hips, right? Finish the play. I mean, it's you know, you're going to see that theme through all 6 of our offensive linemen that we see is they fit the mold of what we're looking for. You got to have athleticism, got to be able to bend, got to be able to get up underneath people, move around, and you got to be nasty. That's what Coach Samus wants.
Well, I noticed also that he played a little tight end too. He had 16 catches for 225 yards. He's got over 200 career tackles. So he played defense. A lot of linemen in high school, sometimes you'll see them play offense, but you know, they're platoon players. They don't play defense. This is a guy that played it all and was athletic enough to get off the ball defensively. 200 tackles? You kidding me? That's an athletic type kid.
There is one major negative to him though. Do you know what it is?
That he plays 3 instruments?
His sister goes to Lehigh.
Well, we didn't have to mention that. I didn't prep you enough and talk about that enough. But I know his sister's a basketball player, correct?
Basketball player at Lehigh, but she's been great. She was a part of his whole recruiting process,
terrific.
Coming over here with him for all his visits. Unbelievable family. They were fantastic through the whole process. And it's exciting to have them, and now they got to split home, so they got to figure out what they're going to do on Saturdays. I was going to say, they're going to have
to go back and forth a little bit. He's also going to plan on majoring in the mechanical engineering, plays the drums, piano, and harmonica. I got to hear that. Maybe he can do it here in the locker room for us. Joe, another great get. Again, filling a need at offensive line. Let's move on. Another offensive lineman. Let's roll some tape on Mike Hughes. Now, Mike's out of Ramapo High School, Franklin Lakes, right up here, not too far away. I believe he's from the same high school as Blake Costanzo, who played in the NFL and was a great linebacker here for us. What'd you like about Mike?
That is correct. And again, you're going to hear the same theme, but Mike is an athletic kid. Mike has the ability to come off the ball with some pop, get his hands on you, right? Finish the block right there, great toughness. You don't see him get on the ground a lot in his tape. He kind of stays up. Look right there. He's able to kind of redirect, right? Get to a wide rusher, get his hands on him, and stay on his feet. So you see the ability to move, and look at him open his hips right there, get his hands inside. You know, it's hard. You see a guy unlock his hips like that, that's a hard thing to do, especially for these big kids in high school. So, you know, obviously a lot of really good things on the tape that we like about Mike.
Yeah, nice punch. I love the base, too. I love the leverage he plays with, the balance he plays with. Like you said, not on the ground. A lot of these kids, you'll see him lean and head to the ground.
Exactly.
Right there.
Most guys there you'd see go to the ground.
Yeah, absolutely.
You'd see him get real heavy and chase that guy. He doesn't. He keeps his feet underneath him, does a great job of being able to redirect.
And then Pete pointed out, I just wrote great leverage, great balance, good lateral movement, strong at the point of attack. First team all Bergen County. What does that say about a kid? I mean, that is great football.
And you look across the board, really, of the guys that we've recruited, all county, all league. We're bringing in kids that come from the right kind of programs, right? That were the best in the areas they were in, want to be a part of Lafayette. And then what does he do in the community? Right, volunteers in an assisted living home.
Volunteers in assisted living.
So I mean, who are these guys?
Yeah.
Right. What are they doing to separate themselves to make them guys that we say we have to have that kid on our team?
Yeah, absolutely. And just so a note on Rampo, state championship winner in 2015, played in the state championship game this year as well. So he's got good pedigree there. He knows he's a winner from the beginning. And again, another good offensive line. We just saw 3 really fantastic offensive linemen. We're going to move right along here. Casey McCullum, another offensive lineman. I love talking about O-linemen. It's number 66 here, Penn Manor High School, not far down in Lancaster. Let's roll some tape on Casey here. 6'6", 280 pounds, great hips, great hands, just a big, big human being.
Had Casey in camp, and he actually wore number 1 in the camp that he was at, and boy, was he number 1.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. I mean, watching him go through the bags, you know, at our camps, we kind of put guys through agility drills that maybe you wouldn't see them do in a position group. And I mean, he's running through bags like a DB. It was unbelievable to see him change direction, stick his foot in the ground. I mean, there was a point in the camp where everybody was kind of like, hey, who's number 1? You know, like,
how exciting is that to see an offensive
play?
lineman, a big kid that's nimble with the feet? I mean, that is right away that gets you excited when you can see a big kid that can move. You hope nobody else sees him. Just you see him, right?
That's exactly right. So obviously, you know, it was huge for him coming to camp. That's really when we identified him as a guy that was a major priority.
He was at camp here at Lafayette.
Here at Lafayette during the summer, and like I said, the majority of this class came to camp. They were here on campus working with us, and that is a huge part of our recruiting process.
Well, that's big. So all the juniors out there and the sophomores out there that want to be a part of Lafayette, want to enjoy the facilities we have here, the coaching staff, and everything that goes along with a small college, get to campus and make sure you get to camp, because that's where coaches see you. And that's where they're going to get the best look. That's where they're going to be able to touch and feel you, basically.
It's not a secret. You know what I mean? It's not a secret. I mean, we express that to every kid that we see and we meet. And, you know, during spring, when you're DMing kids or you're emailing, however it is that you're communicating with them, we stress to all of them that the most important thing they do is get on campus in the summer so that we've got a chance to work with you. And also, you've got a chance to work with us. You can figure out how we coach you, you know, how we're going to push you, and how we're going to make you be the best player you can be while you're here.
Yeah, 300-pound bench press, 2-time all-conference tackle, and like you said, not just one sport, plays center on the basketball team, got a major in mechanical engineering, some great linemen. Casey McCullum, not far away, going to be an easy trip for his parents to get up here from Lancaster. Let's move on to a couple skill positions right now. Let's talk about the skill positions. You had to replace a few kids on the outside, some guys that can make plays, and we saw a lot of guys make plays for us, but we're graduating 3 senior wide receivers. Let's talk about Tim Payne, number 4 here, 6'1", 165. Let's roll some tape. Heritage High School, Newport News. One thing I wrote down, jumps out on the film, just a pure playmaker, difference maker.
Can run.
Can run.
Can run, right? He can run, Coach. That's the first thing you say when you get in the meeting, you know, and you ask about the kid, hey, what can Tim do well? Coach, he can run. You know, and it's apparent on the film. You watch him run away from guys. He's a track guy. He's also going to be involved with our track team while he's here, which is really exciting.
Which was important to him.
It was the most important thing to him. He really wanted to be a part of it, and we got a chance while he was here for him to talk to our track coaches and to learn about our program here. You know, he does the hurdles, so I mean, he's extremely athletic, has the ability to do everything we want him to do at the receiver spot, but most importantly, he has the ability to run and take the top off the coverage. And, you know, you're going to find out real quick whether or not that corner can run with him early in the game.
Absolutely.
And if he can't, we're just going to keep throwing it out there.
Yeah, I mean, great body control, stride length. He just eats up cushion.
He's a track guy.
As a former DB, I don't want to line up against him because he eats my cushion up so quickly. Either I got to bump him or I got to play so far off. So you can run the hitch to him, you can run the takeoff, you can run the sluggo route. I mean, these are things with that type of stride. I think he's we always talk about receivers. Are they a 1? Are they a 2? This guy can be your number 1 receiver come, down the road.
I mean, you love to put him into the boundary and figure out whether or not they're going to
trips to the field.
Yeah, and they're going to go one-on-one with him to the boundary and find out, okay, can this guy run with can this corner run with him or not? And if they can't, we're going to make them get out of single high.
Yeah.
We're going to make them get to a quarters coverage or a cover 2 where they're going to try to collision him at the line and get a safety over the top.
Yeah.
Because, you know, now everything becomes cloud. Now you've got to find a way to double that guy, and now that opens everything up to the field. So,
and it opens up your running game back into the bubble as well when you cloud that type of stuff. A cloud basically meaning we're going to squat a corner and we're going to put a safety over the top. If they have to roll coverage like trips, well, you saw it in the Super Bowl. We saw trips to the field. We saw Zach Ertz into the boundary by himself, not basically an X receiver, but that quick twitch fiber. He gets boom, runs a slant, catches it, gets into the end zone, which was a touchdown, by the way. So, but Zach Ertz did a great job there.
It depends on what state you're in, on whether or not that was a touchdown.
You know, and the funny thing is when I heard about Tim Payne, and I said, somebody told me he ran a 14.17 and the 110 high hurdle. I don't know much about track. So I go to my track coach at my daughter's high school, and I say, what's 14.17? He goes, who ran that?
Yeah.
I go, we got a kid coming to Lafayette that ran that. He goes, well, that's like a sub 1100. And I said, thank you very much, and I walked away. So I knew right away that hurdle time is just something you can look at and say, wow, this kid's a track kid. Take the top off, right?
There's no doubt. There's no doubt.
Going to major in finance and business.
Long jumps to 22. So it's not just the ability to run, eat up space, right? He's got explosion. He's going to be fast off the line of scrimmage, you know, so it's big.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's turn to another offensive lineman right now, Joshua Roberts. Let's run some tape on him. Virginia Beach, Virginia, Tallwood High School. I saw him on campus here recently. If you look at the size, 6'8", 315 pounds. What did you like about Joshua? He is athletic.
I'm going to tell you what I liked about Josh. When Josh walked in the door, he had to dip down to get through
the door.
He was the door? Yeah. You know, he had to find a way to get through the door, and I was like, oh, I like him.
Yeah.
You know, I don't even turn on the tape. Yeah. Obviously, the biggest thing that jumps out at you is how big he is, you know, and you see a ton of upside in this kid. A lot of the guys that you watch, you could tell that they're really well coached, that they've kind of played the position for a long time, have the ability to move their feet and do things. He's got raw athletic ability.
Look at the flex, coach.
You look at him getting a stance.
Wow.
Look at him get his feet up underneath him and run a guy through there. And you see him, he's just kind of like a big baby deer out there, running around with limbs flailing a little bit. There is a ton of upside to him, and we're so excited about having him.
And I saw him pull a couple times. A guy like that, you can pull from the tackle spot. I would envision him eventually being probably the left tackle, I would assume. You never know. You know, I think down the road you're going to see some big schools regret not taking a shot on a kid like that. It reminds me a little bit of a kid that went to Bucknell a couple years ago, Julian Davenport. Big kid, athletic, had to learn his body, had to really learn how to play the game. But Joshua, once he gets the game and he's getting there, going to be unstoppable.
There were a couple guys in this class that we were kind of sweating until we got that NLI in. Like, how is this guy getting to the FCS level?
How big do you have to be?
You know what I mean? Like, it's unbelievable. Some of the guys we got in this class that we were just like, just get the paper in. We just don't say anything until we get the paper in.
And you look at it, you know, Gary and I always talk about that. How big do you have to be? I mean, he's out of Virginia. Why a UVA, or I'm sure they probably were, or a Virginia Tech? I mean, the kid is a little bit of a project, obviously. Got to learn the game of football, but you know what? An all-Beach district, 2-year starter at right tackle. His major's undecided right now. Joshua, I'm telling you, this kid, like you said, diamond in the rough, going to be a great football player here for us. Exactly. Let's move to a tight end position. Gary and I talked a little bit about the tight end position. We lose Dylan Wadsworth. We got to find some guys in line and guys that can stretch the field. I think you did that here with Zadok. Am I saying that right?
Zadok Scott.
Zadok Scott. Let's run some tape. Wyoming Sem.
Yep.
Right? But originally played in Texas, correct?
Correct. So we found out about Zadok a year ago, right? Coming out of Texas, Episcopal. Put him at Sem because we felt like he could definitely use a year of maturing and kind of getting in the weight room a little bit. But does an unbelievable job. In high school, played both defensive end and tight end. Wow. You see the ability for him to run, use his hands, unbelievably soft hands, great frame. You know, obviously he's got the length, but when you see him in person, you really aren't sure how thick he's going to get.
Is that right?
Because he's got an unbelievable frame, and I'm excited to see how big. Look at him run right there. I mean, you just see the guy with the length, the ability to stick his foot in the ground, change direction, come back, finish a play. We're excited. Obviously, you know, you talked about losing Dylan, who was a big playmaker for us this year. We feel like we've added some serious depth and filled a specific need with Zadok.
And you need guys like this in the red zone. You got to have guys that can get against the linebacker, get against a safety, and basically be longer than them, and then be athletic enough to get behind them and stretch them and get some separation. A guy like Zadok can do that. I wrote down Terrell Owens. Reminds me a little bit of T.O. The way he catches the ball away from his body, the way he strides, he separates. He's always looking for somebody ahead, looking to the next defender. I mean, that is a big-bodied kid, and who knows how big he will get.
And you see the way the Patriots get Gronkowski in one-on-one situations, and that's the size that he has. You know, now will he get that thick? He very well may be, and if he does, you know, he's going to be something to be reckoned with.
Right, and we have a couple tight ends coming back as well from last year. Obviously, Taggart, we loved him, did a really nice job. Hopefully, we'll see Evans come back as well, and Liam Reedy. So, you know, it's a nice stable of tight ends, and like I said in the beginning of the show, Coach Garrett likes to use the tight end package when he needs to, H package type thing.
I mean, if you get in 12 personnel or you get in 13 personnel, most defensive coordinators are looking for a heavy formation, a big formation, inline tight ends, big run surfaces. So they're thinking getting some kind of single high, get into some kind of defense with ability to stop the run and put that as the emphasis. So when you get in 12 or 13 and then you come out in open sets, right? Because now you've got guys like Zadok who have the ability to run in space and do things athletically, you put defenses in a bind.
Absolutely. Just explain real quick, and I know what you mean, but explain to everybody out there what you mean when you say 12 personnel, 13 personnel, you know, 21 personnel. I know what you're saying, but tell everybody out there what exactly you mean.
So the first number is the number of running backs in the game. The second number is the number of tight ends in the game.
So one back, two tight ends, 12.
One back, two tight ends, 12. One back, three tight ends, 13.
13, right?
0-1, no running backs in the game, one tight end, a lot of wide receivers.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
So
you can mix and match, and you know defenses tend to be personnel based.
Right.
They see personnel go on the field, and they want to know, okay, these are the formations we're expecting to get out of that personnel.
And these are the things up in the booth that the coaches look at, and that I see is, okay, I'll see 12 personnel on the field, and the defensive coordinator sees 12 personnel going in. He has to match his personnel on his play card to match 12 personnel. What do I want? Do I want to be in base defense? Do I want to be in nickel? Is it first down? Is it third down? These are so many different things that these coordinators go into. So Coach Thompson's looking, okay, what's the other team in? Are they in 13? Are they in 12? Are they in no tight end? Are they in 5 wides? Do I have to be nickel, dime? There's so much that goes on there. But it's so important, I think, for you to explain to everybody out there exactly what that is. Let's move on here. Help me with Steven Stylianos, a Renaissance man. Coach Garrett and I talked about him, Christ Church High School, Hayes, Virginia. Let's roll some tape on him. 6'5", 230 pounds, played quarterback, but he's going to play tight end for you.
Just came back from a mission trip, and we're really excited about this kid. I mean, in camp, showed up as a quarterback, right, threw the ball around a little bit, and we saw him go through the bags and do some things athletically, and we were like, hey, why don't you just run a couple routes and just and he was like, oh, absolutely, coach. Didn't hesitate at all, stepped right into the tight end line and caught balls really well. And we were like, you know, we love you as a tight end. And things really went well with him, you know, moved quickly through the recruiting process. But again, another kid who we had in camp, we were able to evaluate in person and see the way he catches the ball. Obviously, his tape, you see him do everything.
Yeah, I said he's got a quarterback, tight end, D-end, linebacker. He's so talented all over the field. It's almost like, where do we put a kid like this? But look at him block right there in line.
And you're going to see that from a few kids in our class, the versatility of a player to play offense, play defense, play down in the line of scrimmage, play back in the back end, to really do a lot of different things. That is invaluable because you're putting these kids on scholarship or you're bringing them in to be a part of your team, and you don't know how your depth changes during the season. So when you have swing guys like that can move to another position and help you right away, that's always an added bonus to when you're recruiting guys.
All-state first team, second team all-state quarterback. So he was a second team all-state quarterback, first team all-state defensive line, 1,900 yards, 18 touchdowns, 121 tackles on defense. He played for a former player here in Keith Bloom, who played here at Lafayette. And tell me a little bit quickly about the trip to Senegal he took, the mission trip.
Yep, took a trip to Senegal, was in there trying to provide running water for a village in Senegal. So was over there and was actually over there during signing day. So it was unbelievable how the school kind of helped everybody get things done and get things to people and get them signed and get them sent back. It was unbelievable the way they helped manage that whole process because he was going to be gone. And it was an awesome thing.
Signed and sealed, Steven Stylianos.
That's right.
Very nice. A big man, going to be a big help. Let's move on to another offensive lineman here, Ben Wild, who's our last offensive player that we're going to look at. Ben, 6'6", 305, let's run some tape. Newtown, Pennsylvania. Berks Catholic, good football, went to the Hun school, so almost like a PG kid.
A PG kid. Well, yeah, went to the Hun school, you know, so found him there, but was actually a local kid. You know, we have some really good ties to the Hun over there, and our staff has done an unbelievable job in all their areas. Coach Hines especially did a great job in his areas finding these kids. And, you know, Ben came to us kind of later on in the process, found out about him, got him on campus quick for a game, for an unofficial visit, continued to move through the process with him, official visit. And like I said, when you look at the guys on the offensive line that we brought in, you see the ability to move, you see the ability to get up underneath somebody and finish a block, the nastiness in a stance right there, great bend in the knees and ankles.
Yep, that's what I wrote. Great hips, great hand placement. That is huge too, to understand. You see some kids come out and immediately they kind of hook, they go to the shoulders, but great hand placement, thumbs up, very well coached. Obviously had the extra year, but you can see that kind of show through, not only in his athletic ability, but the fact that he's explosive, he's got good hips, and he was well coached at the lower level.
That's exactly right. And, you know, that's kudos to everybody who's been involved with him and to him. That means he's worked on his craft as he's come through, and we're excited about having him as part of the team.
Excellent. Going to major in engineering. Team went 8-1 in the prep school, and the Hun school placed some good players. We had a player here a couple years ago, a quarterback that came out of the Hun school, so very exciting. Again, I look at the whole class again, athletic ability, not only from the kids you would expect it from and the speed, but from the offensive linemen. You needed a bunch of offensive linemen. Coach Sam is going to be a happy guy.
I agree. I agree 100%. I'm excited to see these guys get in here in August and really start working with us and see what they can do on the field.
Great. I really appreciate it. So we'll take a little break. We'll come back, and we're going to talk about what I love about the football, the defensive side of the football. We'll be back in a little bit, and we'll bring you the defensive players for Lafayette College. Back to you.
Coke Zero is now Coke Zero Sugar, with great Coke taste. Some people were excited to hear the news, some were skeptical. So we're not going to have any pro players taking sips in slow motion. Because the only thing that will make you believe is trying it yourself.
I'm a leopard.
I'm a leopard.
I'm a leopard.
We are one team.
We believe that everyone benefits from living, learning, and playing as part of a diverse community.
We're leopards. We play with passion. We play with integrity.
We play with respect.
This team's a family. We will always have your back.
If you can help us win championships,
you can help us win championships.
Just be you.
We want everybody to feel part of the Lafayette family and tradition. If you can play, you can play.
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 Right here on the campus of Lafayette College and live from the locker room where the guys get dressed, the guys get ready to bust out the doors and jump onto Fisher Field and win football games here. And we're so glad to have Mark Nudelberg back here again with us, special teams coordinator, the recruiting coordinator here at Lafayette. We went through some really nice-looking kids offensively. You got to be real happy about offense. Let's talk about defense, okay? Let's talk about what you were looking for targeting defense. Gary and I mentioned that you lost a couple guys at every level, a couple guys up front. Got a great-looking defensive line coming back, some great linebackers that you got some special teams work you work closely with, and some defensive backs. But these are the guys not only are going to play defense, but are going to play on special teams for you.
And that tends to be the case. The majority of guys who play on your special teams come from your linebackers and your DB segments. So for me, as a special teams coordinator, I'm always usually a little bit more biased. Like, do we need that sixth offensive lineman, or can we get like a seventh DB in here?
There you go.
You know. I think we did a really good job of addressing our needs. The way we practice here, we do a lot of two-spot, right? People don't understand what that means, two-spot. That means we have the same drill going on in two different areas, right? So everybody's getting reps. There's nobody standing on the sideline waiting around for a rep. Everybody is getting reps. Everybody's getting evaluated.
You got to have bodies to do that.
But you got to have the depth to do it. And we were short at DB this year, you know, so we went out and we addressed that need. We signed 6, which was really exciting for us. We feel like we got some really good players there. Our D-line, we signed 4 of them, which obviously that's a need. I don't care what year it is, right? You need to make sure that you address up front first, offensive and defensive linemen, because that's where the game is controlled.
And I think he exactly did that. Tell me, is defensive line the most difficult position to recruit?
Maybe.
Okay.
You know, I think you could maybe say the same thing about offensive line.
Okay.
You know, because you're dealing with kids that are in the process of growing. Some of them might be a little big for their frame right now. They don't know how to play within it. So you have to kind of project, hey, is this guy going to continue to grow and become more athletic inside of his body, or has he kind of tapped out? Is he too stiff? Does he have enough explosion? Does he have enough quick twitch? Sometimes it's easy when you turn on the film and you watch a receiver and you go, oh, wow, he can run really fast, and look, he can change direction. Great, simple. When you're looking for those things in bigger players, which is what you want to find in the offensive and defensive line, it makes it a little more difficult.
Yeah, I would think so. And I always looked at, if you get a defensive back that is maybe loses a step, you move him to safety. He goes from safety to linebacker, and then linebacker to defensive end. And that's hopefully the end of the progress. But for defensive linemen, if a defensive lineman doesn't work out, he goes to the offensive line. But from offensive line, there's really nowhere else to go except standing next to you. So
that's exactly right. You could probably be a wing on field goal.
There you go. Absolutely. Okay. Let's start right away. Let's get into it. We'll start with the defensive back here, Jordan Anderson. Let's roll some tape on Jordan. South Paulding High School, Douglasville, Georgia. You guys did a great job down in Georgia.
Did a great job in Georgia. And again, Coach Hines and Coach Thompson, unbelievable job down there identifying kids and getting kids out of there. Jordan came to us in camp early in the summer, had a phenomenal camp, and unfortunately on his very last rep of camp, tore his ACL.
Oh my goodness.
And so he missed his senior year, but it did a great job with rehab. When I went down there in December, I was actually October, to go into the school, saw the coach. He was on track, almost fully recovered already, was already starting to run in his rehab.
And what time, when was that?
That was in October.
October,
So you're talking about July, August, September. You're talking about 4 months.
Wow.
And yeah, obviously, you know, came in and ran a really fast 40 time for us, competed in one-on-ones, was really a lockdown corner in competition periods. And we were really excited about him. And when something bad happened, we didn't flinch. You know, we obviously, guys come back from ACLs all the time. And we didn't flinch. We stood right there with him.
Nice.
And we were really excited about him.
Yeah. To me, Jordan always looks like the best player on the field. When I watched his game tape, and again, highlights are highlights, but you got to go watch a full game, especially with offensive lineman type stuff. But for DBs, you got to, you know, it's all about highlights. Let me see you catch it. Let me see you run. Those type of things. But let me see what you do on the backside of a play. Do you take the proper angle? When you tackle, do you break down? Do you you know, I always called it fast, slow, fast. Can you get your feet chopping again? Do you get dead feet and lean forward? Those type of things.
Long stride, short stride.
You got it. Yeah, exactly.
Widen and quicken, as Coach Garrett would like to say.
Man, all these new terms I have to learn over here, right? But athletic, can separate, explosive again, very similar to the other side, to Timothy Payne. And very similar.
But not afraid to put his face in there.
Yep.
You know what I mean? And that's really in our defense, and Coach Thompson does an unbelievable job with our defense. But the guys in the secondary better be able to tackle.
Sure.
You know, they better be able to get down in there and not be afraid to put their face in the fan and be a part of it. And you see that in Jordan. And you see that in Jordan's tape.
4-year letter winner in track, third in Georgia in the 6A long jump. Third in the state of New Georgia, explosive, self-taught pianist.
Yeah.
Right?
Renaissance man.
Renaissance man. There you go. Jordan, great to have you aboard. Let's move on to another defensive back here, Caleb Burr out of Avon Lake, Ohio. Good football out there, 6'1", 190. I noticed about Caleb, very long, very athletic, makes plays. Nice get.
Mr. Versatility. I mean, you watch his tape, he plays corner, he plays safety, he plays linebacker, he plays receiver. He absolutely does it all. And I think what really jumped off the tape for me about Caleb was when you saw him open his hips and turn and run with a receiver, maybe a receiver had gotten a step on him, you see that makeup speed right away, and he's got unbelievable length.
And to find makeup speed in a kid that's 6'2",
right here, look at this, look at this. Okay, got a step on him, right?
Yep.
Gains that ground right back, gets in there and makes a play. That's really hard to do.
Finds the football.
Yep.
So often I talk about finding the football. DBs, hey, we're great, we can turn our back, we can run, but if you don't find the football.
He's got ball skills, Coach. Look at him right here, right? He's a corner, but he's down on the edge of the line of scrimmage, boom, playing there. Yep. Okay, ball breaks. Let me go run this guy down and go make the tackle. This guy can play corner, can play safety. It doesn't matter. I mean,
checks all the boxes for you. And
he's going to play special teams.
I
can tell you that.
We need a whole different special teams show, I think, here. But for Coach McFadden, he's going to reload with these kids. I mean, a guy like Caleb Burr helps him to reload. Going to help him to practice better. He's going to give a better look to the wideouts and everybody else.
And he's going to push the room. He's going to push the older guys. You know, that's the one thing about this freshman class that we have bringing in. They are going to push everybody who's here to continue to compete at another level. I mean, I think if you talk to Coach Garrett would say he feels like we kind of changed the culture a little bit here. You know, we didn't win as many games as we wanted to, but we were competitive in all of them, or the majority of them. And I think that's going to continue to push that culture in the way we want it to go, is because it's just going to continue to create a competitive environment.
I see it. I see what you're doing here. 3-year starter, all conference, all county, all district, track sprinter, honor roll student. Now, he comes from the same high school as Coach Pace, correct?
Yes,
running backs coach.
There's no doubt. I'm pretty sure that there's like a cutout or something
of Coach Pace
in the school.
And Coach Pace didn't put it up. Right. He's got a major in economics as well. Caleb Burr, a big defensive back. If he gets bigger, he could actually play a will linebacker type thing
There's
for you
no
as
doubt.
well.
Again, versatility, right? So is he a safety? Is he a linebacker? Is he a receiver? What is he? You know what I mean? I mean, he's a ball player. He's going to come in and make plays for you.
Now, this kid's very interesting. Joe Egan from Westminster High School down in Georgia as well, another Georgia guy. Let's roll some tape on him. A DB, number 4 here, 6'1", 175, comes from good lineage. His brother played at Georgetown. Joe makes plays offensively and defensively.
Unbelievable. Obviously, Coach Thompson has been recruited Atlanta for a long time and done a really good job down there, but also the family tie to Joe with his brother playing for him at Georgetown. So we were on Joe real early in the process. Again, Joe came to camp, competed his tail off, was really impressive in one-on-ones, and then obviously you see the ability to run through guys, run by guys.
Great body control in a small space. I said that he'll make you miss in a phone booth. He's got good, nice shiftiness.
He's got really good change of direction. Really good change of direction.
Comes from a great high school. Well, you can actually, some kids, unless you watch as much film as you do and I used to, you can actually see their football IQ come out on the tape. It's hard to say or hard to see sometimes, but he's got a great IQ for football, knows the game really well.
Well, you see him there. He's at quarterback, right? He's the Wildcat quarterback. He's the receiver. He's playing corner. He's playing safety. He's doing all of those things. You can't not know what to do and be able to do all that, right? You have to understand the game and be able to flip sides and do those things.
He's an exciting kid to have. Helped his team to a 40-15 record over the years, a 2015 state title. He's a soccer player and track player. Now, how do you play soccer and football at the same time? I'm not quite sure.
It's tough.
But that tells you he's got great feet as well. Elementary school tutor, there you go, and plans to major in economics. Joe Egan, I've heard a lot about him coming in. This wasn't a kid that heard right away, before, but Coach Thompson had some link to him and obviously landed him, and that's a great get.
Yeah, awesome. We're really excited about having Joe up here.
Let's talk about some defensive linemen now. Let's talk about Ian Grayson. Am I saying that right, Ian? Ian Grayson. I love Ian Grayson because the school he comes from, Don Bosco Prep, they play some ball up there.
That's right.
Let's run some tape on Ian here, number 52, 6'2", 250 pounds, Cresskill High School, Don Bosco Prep. This kid can flat out lock you out and get rid of you and get to the football.
His explosion is unbelievable. So he was here at camp, right? And we're going through our stretch lines at camp, right? And we're doing the stretch where you stick your hand out in front of you and you kick your foot up, right? And you stretch the hamstring. And he's going through the line bouncing, and his foot was going above his head. I was like, is he a punter? Like, did we bring a punter in that I didn't know about? It was unbelievable.
Wow.
So right off the bat, you identified him in camp as a guy that was going to be able to bend and be explosive. And did he ever do that in camp? He was really impressive. And obviously, you see on the tape, you see the ability to come off the ball, use his hands, get rid of a block.
I love the way he locks out and just violently gets off the blocks. I mean,
hand placement, right? All about playing with hands, right?
Diagnosis,
that's the battle
plays
up front.
well.
That's the battle up front. Get your hands inside, right? And then figure out where the football is and go get to the football. And look at him right there. Boom. Get there, get the knockback, get flat down the line of scrimmage, make a play. Really excited about Ian.
I would have loved to see Coach Heinz's reaction when he starts watching this film, because you see all the traits of a defensive lineman. You see everything you want. You see the extension. You see the violent get-off. You see how quickly he plays. You see the motor. He can collapse the pocket inside. Not the biggest guy in the world,
that's right,
but he can collapse the pocket and do what you need to do up front to get these quarterbacks off the spot.
Yep. There's no doubt.
You know?
I mean, you see him right there. And when you do it from the inside, it changes everything,
much
right?
different.
Obviously, edge rushers are tough, but edge rushers, if they get up the field on you and the quarterback steps up the pocket, you better have that inside rush.
Yep.
When that inside rush collapses on the quarterback and he's got nowhere to go, totally changes everything.
Yeah. All County, a National Honor Society,
plays
English
the trumpet.
Honor Society, plays the trumpet.
Come on,
Renaissance man, going to plan to major in engineering. You know, Ian Grayson. This opens up roads. We haven't had a lot of kids. I played with Andy Nygren, who was a center here from Don Bosco Prep, 4-year starter. Wasn't the biggest kid, probably 6'2.5", 6'3", 290 pounds, but could play back. With a great athlete, so well coached, came right in and started. Ian Grayson is going to push guys up front. He's going to push for time. He's a guy you could put back in the wedge, you know, on the kickoff return, right? I mean, you're already thinking about that. That is a great get and comes from a great school, really well coached. Absolutely. Let's move along here to Malik Ham. City College High School.
Yeah.
I got so excited when I saw Malik. I just, from the athletic ability, the way he probably hasn't even tapped into how good this kid is going to be. Let's roll some tape on Malik. Baltimore, down at Baltimore, Maryland here. Just a disruptive force. I wrote, wow.
Yeah, I mean, this is another kid that you talk about like Josh Roberts, where you're like, how? How did he end up at the FCS level? I mean, you watch his get off. Yeah, you watch him. Look at him get his hands up in the air, intercept the football. He is a freakish athlete. Has the ability to look at him, dip his shoulder, come around the edge, strip the ball out of there. I mean, we're blessed to have Malik. You know, we were really excited when we found him. You know, it's not every day that you get a kid out of City College down in Baltimore.
Sure.
And when we got him up here, he was all about the right things. The academics about Lafayette, understanding the opportunity that being here for 4 years will afford him for the next 40 years of his life, right? Because obviously you want to play Division I football. We offer that, right? Obviously you want to have great facilities and game day atmosphere and all that kind of stuff. We offer all that, right? But we also offer you the opportunity to get a degree that's going to knock you into another upper echelon. He understood that, and that was so important to him in the process. And it was an unbelievable experience being able to recruit Malik.
That's fantastic. A great story. What a lot of people don't realize is that you can get overly excited about a player like a Malik or someone, and then all of a sudden you go to, you know, I always used to go to the guidance office first or get the transcript first, because you can get so overly excited, and then all of a sudden you go and you look at grades and you go, I just got no shot. And I just wasted an hour. And now I got to get the heck out of this high school without hurting somebody's feelings. But to see kids that check all the boxes, a guy like Malik who has it academically, is a great person, number one, and then can play the game at a high level, that's not the easiest thing to find. I mean, there are bigger schools that don't have to worry about a few of those boxes, but you have to worry about all of those boxes.
And I think that speaks volumes to our staff and what a great job they did this year. And I say pound the pavement because that's really what it is.
Sure.
I mean, and, you know, it starts earlier and earlier, but you're talking about sending emails early in the process to get in touch with coaches, to get transcripts, to early identify kids, to stay in touch with those coaches, to figure out about a guy that comes on late, guy they might not have thought was a dude in spring and comes on during the fall, or maybe somebody that people fall off of and now he's looking for a place to go. I mean, you got to continue to stay in it and stay communicating with all the guys in your area, and I think our staff did an unbelievable job.
Did your staff have to did you have to educate them, or did you have to educate them about what Lafayette is about? I mean, what the academic standards are, what kind of did you have to, or did you just kind of get a feel for that and say, okay, we understand Lafayette, this is the type of kid they're looking for, but was it somewhat difficult to make the transition to what Lafayette is as a staff member?
I can really speak for myself. I can't speak to everybody else. Some guys have been in and around the league for a long time,
Luke,
so they understand it, right? Like Coach Thompson. For myself, this was the first time at the FCS level and the first time ever at an academic institution like this. So it was much different for me to have to go in and evaluate the transcript first.
I got
like you said, you know, so that I'm not wasting time on guys that we have no opportunity to get into school here. So for me, it was a major adjustment. Obviously, you adjust to it quick, you know, and you start asking. The first question is, can I see his transcript? You know, because, and really, it's not just about GPA or test score here. It's also about curriculum. The admissions department here wants to see that they're challenging themselves in the classroom.
They want to see the AP courses.
It's even different than everybody else in the league. You know, we really want to make sure that we're not just bringing in guys who have GPAs and test scores, guys that are pushing themselves academically with their curriculum.
Well, that's why the Patriot League in Lafayette leads the entire country in graduation rate. It's just unbelievable. This is the true evaluation and the true home of college football. I don't care what everybody else does, but the Patriot League, this is the culture that should be taught all over the country.
Yep.
Let's move on a little bit here. Let's talk about Tasama Haskins, number 21. I saw Tasama. He was a late get for you, but the athletic ability, again, Georgia, I mean, went to the Petty School, obviously up here, but I tell you what, this kid is a flat-out hitter coming down in the box.
And we, to play the corner position or the safety position, wherever he's going to fit for us, he's not afraid to, like I said, put his face in the fan, but he's got length. Look at how long his arms are.
Wow.
Look at him right there with the ability to work around the receiver, get his hand in there to break up a pass. And again, another guy who we had in camp.
Okay.
Right? Had him early in camp, identified him early on. Long recruiting process for Tasama was here.
He'll stick his face in the fan.
Oh, there's no doubt. There is no doubt. He is not afraid to put his body on you. And you saw that in one-on-ones in camp. He wasn't afraid to play physical with receivers, get up in their face, get his hands on them, and we're excited about him. And again, a long recruiting process for him, but well worth it for us at the end.
He jumps off the tape. Look at the hands right there. He's got the loose hips. And I know Coach McFadden and I have talked before about, you got to find kids that can open their hips and accelerate. You got to have kids that can come downhill. I mean, it's easy sometimes to see a kid come downhill, but if they can open their hips and unlock.
And change direction.
Change
to see guys get out of a pedal, like right there, bam, bam, 3 steps in the ground, comes downhill, makes a tackle. So if that's 3rd and 8, that ball's tackled for a 4-yard gain.
We're drive on this one.
We've got punt return on the field and we're going.
Yep. Love his intensity. He seems to be a player. There are players on the field sometimes that lift everybody else's play, and you can see that from his highlights watching 20 or 50, 20 or 30, that he lifts everybody around, and you see other guys accelerating, you see other guys making plays, the excitement that he brings. He's that type of player.
He's a great personality kid, and again, he had a long recruiting process with us, and when it came time for him to make his decision and be a part of this family, we were all so excited about him. He was excited about it, so that was a great experience with him.
All MAPL team, a basketball player, going to major in economics, 3-year starter at the Petty School, good football.
Great
football.
That
is a really good get. Haskins can play some ball. I mean, he can really get it done. Let's talk about some linebackers now. Let's talk about Christian Holler. Christian Holler, when I saw his tape, I said, just wow. I mean, the nastiness, the skill set that he has. Let's run some tape on Christian out of Hoggard High School. Am I saying that right?
Yep, that's right.
Wilmington, North Carolina. Big kid, 6'2", 215.
And Coach McFadden did an unbelievable job finding Christian, but he's a box player, right? And what most people won't see on the tape right here is his ability to track the ball and stay on the hip. He never overruns it. He's really a really good football player, playing it inside out, and then when it comes time to put his body on you, you see the explosion and how he's able to be violent through contact.
Yeah, I mean, great skill set. He's a ferocious player. I mean, I don't want to pinpoint kids for certain kids, but we lose Brandon Bryant, and we're going to lose Michael Root. And eventually, we're going to lose guys that we have depended on from the linebacker level. This is the type of kid that can not only play 2 downs, but is going to be a 3-down kid. You see him separate right there. I mean, he's a difference maker at the linebacker position. 13-0 his team was his senior year.
That's exactly right. And that again, coming from programs where they understand winning, right? You're not bringing kids that you have to change their mind or change their culture and what they understand. You're bringing kids in who already and expect that. So that's what they want when they get here, and that's what we're looking for. And again, Renaissance man, right? I mean, National Honor Society, right? Created an FCA member, created a club at his school to help student athletes who are struggling in academics meet academic requirements. Really does a little bit of everything, and he's nasty when he gets on the field.
I just said that he's a great leader, and you know what? You said all that stuff. He's a tackling machine. A tackling machine.
And that's what you want out of your box players,
He's going to play for you on special teams. Mark my words.
Doubt.
He's going to play for you on
special
special
teams.
teams.
Linebackers and DBs, I love them all.
He's a guy that I say on the bus.
That's exactly
He's a guy that's going to probably be on the bus when you get down to it. Let's talk about Ty Haranica. Am I saying that right?
That's
okay. 5'11", 215 pounds, right here, Pope John High School, not too far away from here, probably an hour and 15 minutes. Number 5, great football player, smart, accomplished blitzer. He can do it all from the linebacker spot.
Accomplished blitzer, and I think that's one thing that Coach Thompson talked about in the recruitment of this kid is when you watch him, he gets to the quarterback.
Yeah.
He knows how to blitz. He's not running. Yeah, he's not running in there out of control, just running into blocks. He understands how to dip his shoulder, avoid a block, get home on a blitzer. And you know, like, it's not a secret to anybody. Coach Thompson likes to apply pressure. You know, so when he sees
look at him in space here.
When he sees a guy like this that understands, and look at him, he understands playing at home, being in the area, finding the football. We feel like we got a really good steal and tie.
He competes on every single play. You can see just good footwork. Again, you know, let's talk about the blitzing. When you come off the corner, you know, everybody can. I used to come off the corner and get cut all the time, and Coach would yell at me so bad, "Stay on your feet," and you lose contain. You don't get there. The quarterback has that extra second. We always talk about quarterbacks having escapability, having to buy time in the pocket. Well, they're buying time because somebody didn't get home.
That's exactly
and when
right.
somebody gets cut or is on the ground or runs the wrong route or maybe from the backside comes underneath a block and the quarterback gets to the boundary, these are all little things that you and I see. But you have to understand, if you're blitzing to get there, not only to have a 6-on-5 or a 7-on-6, or you want to be able to get home. And a guy like that can finish at the point of attack, that's something that a lot of kids can't do.
That's exactly right. So when you see it on tape and you see him be able to do that, that's just one thing that you check off the box. Like, okay, this kid's going to come in and we're going to apply pressure, and he knows how to get home already. And so now you take a guy who's good at that and you make him a little bit better, he becomes great at it. As opposed to a guy who really doesn't know how to do it. Now you got to try to teach him just to get him to get home.
And as a former DB, there's nothing better than pressure and getting home, because you got to cover for a certain amount of time. And it's so important. Let's move on to another defensive lineman here, Colin Hurlbrink.
Colin Hurlbrink.
Yeah, Hurlbrink, the Haverford School down in Swarthmore, PA, 6'3", 250 pounds. Again, this kid just a 3 technique, gets off, great first step, great get off.
So you talk about replacing guys, right? And somebody that Colin really reminds me of is Matt Rothrock.
I wrote it down right here, Matt Rothrock.
And so, and when he walked in campus, I was like, is that Matt's little brother? Like, they kind of look alike, you know? So it was exciting to see Colin, and Coach Hines did an unbelievable job early on in the process. I mean, the entire D-line class was done by early signing day.
Nice.
So we got to kind of go through the season with these guys committed and in the boat with us, and we were really excited about them. Again, Colin was a kid that we had in camp, really impressed Coach Hines in person, and really created the opportunity for himself.
Look at him here, just separating,
and
I saw him play the nose. I saw him play the 3 technique, and I saw him play the 5. So I've seen him play across the board. He's just not locked into the nose, 2 gap.
Has position flexibility. Obviously we see him as an inside guy. You see him come off the ball right there, get his hands inside, get rid of it. And again, that's what I'm talking about, just like with Ian Grayson, the pocket collapsing from the inside. That changes everything for a quarterback. His eyes come down now. Now he loses vision of what's happening downfield. And there, obviously, you see him in the run game, being able to get off a block, come down the line of scrimmage, and make a play.
When you can make a quarterback eyes drop because he's worried about the rush at his feet. Quarterbacks always know that someone's coming from the left, coming from the right. They can slide, they can step up, they can, as I say, climb the pocket. But if you mess with a quarterback's feet and just for a split second his eyes drop to find out, are we blocking number 55, Colin? Do we have that guy secured? I mean, that makes a huge difference. He comes off a player, that all Delaware County 3-year starter, football, basketball, track. I mean, this kid is an athlete playing a defensive lineman.
I mean, how many times are we going to say that with the guys that we're recruiting? Multi-sport athletes,
class.
Right? So the guys who are playing 7-on-7 year-round and the guys who are kind of one sport specific, one position, that's great. But it really excites us when we have the ability to see a kid play basketball, to see a kid in a wrestling match, to see him go throw a shot put.
Well, it gives you another look at him.
And what it really tells me is that you're really competing all the time. You're not position training for 6 months out of the year. You're constantly competing, and that's what we're looking for. The kids who have the competitive nature to come in and push everybody in front of them.
It's good to see an offensive lineman play basketball. Watch him in space. Because are they ever going to move like that on the football? You would hope so, but when you see a guy play center, play basketball, move with his back to the basket, play defense, those are invaluable things that you can do when you're in the recruiting process. Let's talk about Tajon Martin now, a corner. He's 5'11", 175, Episcopal High School out of Texas. You guys reached all the way to Texas with some ties you have down there. This kid can flat out play the game.
I am excited about Tajon. And this was another one that when you turned on the film, you were like, oh, this kid's a no-brainer. What do you mean he's still available?
Do we have one left?
Yeah, like, can we make one? Because you see him up on the line of scrimmage right here, not afraid, gets his hands on, boom. And we say it all the time on defense, tips and overthrows, got to have those. He He doesn't lose track of the ball.
Yep.
He's right there in position all the time. And you just, I mean, his athletic ability jumps off the screen at you.
Yep.
And another kid who understood the opportunity at Lafayette, right? Understood what it meant to come here, understood what the degree means, and wants that. Right. And that's really important to Coach Garrett. He always says
it helps.
They got to want
They
Lafayette.
work with you.
Yep.
It's something that you don't have to. They're working with you, and they understand after football, what am I going to do when I walk out of here with Lafayette College degree? I'm going to be set for life. This is what I can do. This is if I want to go back to Texas and do that. I mean, this kid, loose hips, great length he has as well. Covers ground. He's a glider. I saw him return one, a touchdown to the house, just glides. It doesn't seem like he's running his fastest, but he's running faster than everybody else.
And when you're doing that in Houston, that's a really good thing.
Yeah, that's a good thing. Yeah. Let's be specific to the area that you're doing in. All private school first team, all Southern prep school, going to major in economics. Hey, John Martin, glad to see his letter come through, correct, Coach?
100%. Yeah, I was sweating that one out a little bit this morning, but when it finally came through, I was really excited about it. And I know Tajon's excited about coming here. We're really excited to have him.
I tell you who else is excited. Coach McFadden's going to be excited because he's got some players to work with.
He's going to be mad when all those guys show up on the special teams depth chart.
Well, yeah, you have to use them all, Coach. I mean, they all running down there. Get a couple D linemen, but let's talk about a position that's kind of unique: long snapper. Ed Rogowski, am I saying that right?
That's correct.
Ed Rogowski, he's 6'2", 235 pounds. You lose Michael Schiffert. You have another guy that you use this year as well. But on special teams, how important is the long snapping position?
Ask the Eagles on the first extra point.
Right?
Snap
exactly.
first.
Boy, he was ready to go with that one.
Snap first, right? And that's
there it is.
And I love Ed because Ed texted me during the Super Bowl.
Did he
as soon
really?
as that happened, snap first, Coach. Oh, there's no doubt. There's no doubt. Ed is a really competitive kid. I'm really excited about him. I got a chance to work with him in camp. And to be very honest with you, I didn't think we'd have a shot at him.
Okay.
I thought for sure coming out of camp with his snap times, he would be an FBS
What is a good
scholarship
snap
kid.
time for him?
For him, he can hit 6'8" consistently.
6'8", okay.
Which you got to understand that's NFL caliber snap
times.
We're
saying 0.68.
0.68.
Yep,
So,
just to clarify
and to understand that, I mean, that brings the whole operation time down. The quicker the ball gets to the punter,
right.
If the punter can get the ball off in 1.25 or 1.30 at the slowest, you're talking about a 1.95 operation time, 1.98 operation time, which I know everybody out is watching.
Well, everybody out there's thinking they actually timed the snap to the kick to the hole. I mean, Gary and I are watching one of the biggest wins we had this year, Holy Cross, and all I kept saying to Gary was snap, hole, kick, snap, hole, kick. And there it was, snap, hole, kick, good. I mean, all run in perfection.
It's important, and I'd like to say all run in perfection, but there were some times, and Schiff battled some injuries this year, so he had some shoulders. So you saw that flare up at times, some high snaps and some things. So you can't ever undervalue the importance of the snapper because you could have the best punter in America, right? Which, I mean, Bucknell had the best one in the league. Michael Turk was second, right behind him, right, as a freshman, number 12 in the country, right? So you can have the best kicker, whatever. You can have all those guys. If you can't get the ball to them, it's a moot point. So we're excited about bringing Ed in. Okay. I think he's excited. I know he's going to push the unit to be really good. I was just going
to say, is he a kid that can compete right away, you think, to be the long snapper?
Oh, yeah.
Okay, there you go. And that's what you look for.
I wouldn't be bringing him in if he couldn't.
Exactly. You're not bringing a kid in to snap for 2 years. You want a kid that's going to snap for 4 years, like a punter,
that's exactly
like a place kicker, that type of thing. Let's move on to Billy Schaefer here. And Billy, a defensive end, 6'4", 220 pounds, Archbishop Wood. You say Archbishop Wood around here, Gary and I get excited because we've done a bunch of their games. They are one of the top-notch kids. This kid is a flat-out difference maker, just absolutely wow.
Workhorse, right? Obviously has the length that you want to come off the edge. Really a pure DN, but also has the frame that we think he's going to put on the weight that he needs to hold the point in the run game and do those things. But obviously off tape, the thing that jumps out to you is his first step off the ball, the ability to change direction and come back underneath a tackle that he gets oversetting on him. I mean, just does an unbelievable job. Again, Billy had him in camp, had him early on, identified him early in the process. And was with us early, committed early, and was able to hold on to him the whole way. And we're really excited about him coming from Archbishop Wood, like you said.
Well coached.
Well coached, understands what it takes to win, willing to put in the work to win.
Look at him run down here.
And hopefully we can create a little pipeline there.
Because
I think they're going to have guys every single year that come out of that place that are our caliber of player or better. Look at him scoop the ball.
I just said that. Scoop
Look at the ability
and then
to
accelerate
bend.
and separate.
That's exactly right.
He has a rare combination of strength and speed, and then you add that in with the football IQ and the type of program he comes from. I mean, that's an absolute home run for you guys. I mean, I saw Billy play. We watched him play. We watched him play against the best offensive tackles and defensive ends in the entire, in the state. We watched Archbishop Wood. They are a powerhouse down in the Philly area, two-time All-Catholic League. We've done, I think, at least 7 of their games, honor roll. Now, 7 younger brothers. That's the pipeline you're talking about.
7 younger brothers, and it was unbelievable. When they came on their official visit, Mom had the newborn, had 2 of them. I mean, it was like they were jockeying the baby between the car, and it was unbelievable to watch them work. They're a really great family. We're excited about having them as well.
So we're talking about Archbishop Wood pipeline. We're talking about a pipeline to the Schaefers.
That's right.
Exactly.
That's right.
Got a major in economics as well. We're going to finish up here talking about Romeo Weichel. Romy's another defensive back, 6'1", 190 pounds, Cleveland, Tennessee.
Correct.
Not Cleveland, Ohio, Cleveland, Tennessee. What'd you like about Romeo?
Number one, he looks the part when he walks in the door. I mean, you look at him, his size, absolutely has the ability to play safety. You look at him right there in place, understanding, not chasing a route, kind of playing the area, understanding where the routes come, and then obviously the ball skills to catch the ball. And anytime they got the ability to go back and put it in the end zone, you love that.
Yeah, it plays well in space. That's what I had written down here, speed.
Just understands it. Look at him right there. Look at him accelerate to contact, right, to knock that ball out of there. That's a great play. And look, right there, diagnoses the play, comes down, keeps the ball leveraged, doesn't go chase it down inside, gets the tackle, makes a great play.
Yeah, solid tackler. Again, the guy that you might be able to use off the edge, blitzing, a good solid tackler. Again, in space. See that? He lets
right there
go vertical and then knows where the outside receiver is in the smash route.
He's not opening up the seam. It's his responsibility as the drop down safety in cover 3 to protect the seam.
Right.
He protects it, forces the ball outside, now goes and makes a tackle on the hitch, ball comes out, big play for the defense. Look at him diagnose it right there. Come downhill, widen it quick and bang, make a tackle.
You got it. I love talking football. This is so much fun to watch that, to see how we see it all the time. Just that quick little bubble out to the outside, and the bubbles become so much different. It can be bubble this, that. It's all. I don't even know if they call it bubble anymore, but there's so many different ways to run it, and they can attack the corner, they can attack the safety,
get the ball on the edge. Right, that's the name of the game.
Edge. Romeo. I mean, there is another player. You did a great job, Coach, in fitting the needs you had. You got the DBs. You got guys you can practice with now. You can run the 2-spot drills, those type of things. You got some great athletic defensive linemen. You know, there's so many classes I've seen come through here, and since the scholarship era has come about. But this is a class that is athletic through and through. One of the best classes, and I'm just saying, it's one of the best classes that I've seen. You guys did a phenomenal job, and I thought having a full year under your belt made a huge, huge difference.
Huge difference. You know, and the early signing day makes a big difference too. You know, I mean, we were able to lock up we put 15 kids away in early December.
Right.
You know, so we really came out with a few scholarships left, and we're able to break them up and ended up getting 9 more players out of it. I mean, that's really big. You know, so I mean, the ability to get guys put away, right? So that, okay, now let's go focus on what we have left. Where are the needs we really need to address? Find some guys that have kind of fallen through the cracks. You know, early signing day was a really big addition for us, and we were, you know, and again, I can't preach to the staff enough what a great job they did.
They did a fantastic job.
Finding guys, getting them here. We have a tough evaluation process. We don't, you know,
different levels you got to go through, right?
Different levels, and it's important to get to campus, to get to camp, to make sure that you show and invest that you want Lafayette. All of those things are really important to Coach Garrett.
It's not a one-way street.
No. We are looking for guys who want to be a part of the program. So to have the rigorous evaluation process that we have and walk out with this kind of class, I think everybody's really excited about the work they did.
And I'll tell you something about the Lafayette Sports Network. Nobody does it like us. Nobody does it like us. We cover everything, and we're so happy you joined us. Mark, I can't say enough. Thank you so much. You did a fantastic job. Stay away. I don't want to give you my job. I have enough to do. I'm the analyst around here. Gary Laubach's going to be right back. Gary's coming right back with more signees. It's not just football signees. Today we're going to talk about the soccer signees. Gary Laubach in just a minute.
Joey Chenoweth is going to go all the way. 70 yards. O'Malley to Chenoweth for 70 yards and the touchdown. And the ball up. Sidman, can he get to the outside? He's got the corner, and that's a touchdown.
My Excel research students and I are looking at whether toddlers learn from online video chat And this is important because we know that toddlers usually don't learn as well from video as they do from a live person. My Excel students spent the whole summer last summer FaceTiming with toddlers, teaching toddlers new things over online video chat. And then after a week of that experience, we brought the toddlers back into the lab and we tested what they had learned.